So we must do two things, two great things together, to encompass that enormous new view that lies before us, but to encompass it within the framework of science, to see it within the whole categorical framework of science, and to see that these two are not separate, but that they are wedded. The bigness of the idea, the newness of the idea, the greatness of it is one with the structure of science, the structure of being itself.
All right, so we come to the sixth synonymous term in the order of taking them in the order of the word, and that sixth term is truth. And we're looking at truth and its ideas to see them in the structure of the design of being, the structure of the four levels of spiritual consciousness, and in the fourfold structure of the calculus of being, Word, Christ, Christianity, and science on each level. And so we see that science itself is going to extract and draw from the whole field of truth's ideas, those ideas, only those ideas now which tell us what truth itself is. And at the point of the word, we would see that truth says of itself, I am the divine self-consciousness. I am divinely self-conscious. What, conscious of what? Conscious of itself. And what is that itself? Consciousness of mind, spirit, soul, principle, life. When truth is conscious, this is what it is conscious of. And this is the divine self-consciousness. In fact, truth is indeed conscious of itself and conscious of love. So it is conscious of the whole, as we will see. And the Christ says, and this is the ideal, the absolute ideal of everything. I, truth, am ideal. And Christianity would say, I myself am the standard. I'm the divine standard. That consciousness of all seven, that consciousness of everything that we have seen so far, is the consciousness of truth. It is the standard of being. We're looking at the standard of being. A standard is something that is used to determine whether or not a thing is as it should be. As it should be. It's a level of excellence regarded as the measure of adequacy. So truth is that which is conscious of the whole measure, the whole standard of the excellence of being, and it is that which is, I always remember from the syllabus class, a wonderful way that Max Kapler would begin that sixth synonymous term, truth, and say that there is something in being that is constantly verifying and checking itself to see that it measures up to itself, to its own standard of excellence. And this is truth. So we will feel that as we go from level to level to level, that out of these highest ideas will come everything that we see at the further levels of divine science and absolute and all that concerns the human level. So there is that continual checking continually being conscious to check the trueness of being. That being measures up to itself in its highest excellence. Nothing ever drops below that standard, that divine standard. And science, truth as science, would say, I, truth, am the whole. I'm the whole. And then the level of divine science comes in, and we are asking a different question, not what is truth as itself, but what is truth when it relates really to its whole realm of creation, the whole realm of the creation of truth as truth's idea as a whole. And we see that truth is first realized to be at the point of the word, the Son. Son. Again, I refer you to the Apocalypse chapter where she says, referring to herself to the scriptures, she said that in the scriptures, truth is represented by the Son. And we just have to see now, what is that Son? The Son always verifies that there is a Father and a Mother. But in this case, when we are building up our subject and moving sequentially from mind to love, now truth will very much fall back on those first 5 synonymous terms, and in relation to life, which was the Father, now truth shows us something. It shows us that the Father always has a Son, that the Son is an indication that there is a Father. And in which way does it verify that there is a Father? Through the divine self-claiming, so that this universe of truth, related to the whole of truth's idea, is a universe of truth's divine self-claiming, divine self-affirming, truth affirming itself through the expression of its infinite idea, claiming itself. And how would the Christ qualify that? The Christ would say, this is a realm where truth is ever at work. Ever at work. You hear that? To be ever at work. Can you, with your tonality, hear a touch of the Christ? The Christ consciousness that is working and that is ever at work, never stops in its office of claiming the divine fact, of affirming the divine fact. This is ever going on. It's an active thing. It is a sense of the expression of the Christ, the self-expression of the Christ. And then we come to Christianity, and we see that this is a realm in which truth is all-penetrating. All-penetrating. It is bringing out the divine rightness of everything, the factuality. Truth is factuality in its realm of expression. And finally, science, the divine principle love, science. We see here that we have the sense of the wholeness, that the realm now, which is the, you see the expression of the whole. When I say expression, and realm and sphere and so forth, you have to be able to follow me and know whether I'm talking about a level or a standpoint in the calculus. But if I return to the level of science itself, at the point of science, you see that truth is the whole, right? Now, when I say, what is that whole that truth is, when it considers itself in its sphere of expression, the whole realm of the expression of truth is an expression of what? Of the wholeness, isn't it? So the whole becomes a wholeness. That's truth in relation to truth's infinite idea of itself. The wholeness of truth. Truth there is holism. This is a term, of course, that isn't in the textbook, but it is a term that we find in our world today as our world today becomes more and more aware of wholeness. Wholeness in everything. So you have this aspect coming up in so many, many disciplines, even in the medical discipline, you see, where they begin to see that there's something more than traditional medicine, that there's a holistic medicine, where they try to address the whole man, they try to take in everything about man, not just a certain portion or part or aspect, but the whole, to address that whole. You have it in, what else? I think in art. You have it in psychology. So this sense of holism, of addressing the whole instead of the part, now is a very big thing, of moving away from the sense of parts and the particulate aspect of everything, where we have, for instance, in reductionism, where they reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce so much that they lose the perspective of the whole. So you have a difference, say, in medicine, between a general practice or a specialized practice. Those are two different ends of the spectrum. So that sense of holism is coming into all of the sciences and showing really that we cannot reduce and reduce and reduce until we say, where you say, man is nothing but, or so-and-so is nothing but, and then you list 2 or 3 things, and you've left out the whole context, the context of the wholeness of the subject that you are addressing. So this is what we mean by holism. Here we see that there is a principle of holism that they become aware of. Science would say that in this realm where principle is one with its idea, that this is a realm of the integrity of truth. I think something else we could add there would be it's a realm of the consistency of truth, the coherency of truth. Absolute consistency, coherency, and that whole realm is really bringing out the form of truth. Form of truth. A wonderful term, form, which we will see again, I believe, later on as we go through the categories. This sense of form is likened very much to the term Gestalt. The German term Gestalt means form. You have that sense of the Gestalt, say, sense of wholeness coming out in the Gestalt psychology, and again attempt by psychology to take the whole, to consider the whole, to address the whole. Now, the form of truth, what does this mean? It means really that the idea of truth, that infinite idea of truth as a whole, having form, means that every part so-called, that which we would think was a part, is holistic. At every point in that realm, there is holism. So we feel as though we're going to be moving now into looking at what would ordinarily be called individual parts, or as we have very often thought of ideas as being parts of the whole. And here we see that the idea of truth as a whole is form, has form. And form means that every part, so-called, carries out the general character of the whole. And this is what is meant by Gestalt. It's that sixth term, is it not, in the flow of the scientific tools? So we had law, order, rule, system, method, form or Gestalt. Yeah. And so whatever is worked out through the tools of science, whatever is worked out through the first 6 days of creation, whatever is worked out from mind to life, say, has form, has Gestalt. Every part will be seen not to be a part, but a whole. So you have nothing but a hierarchy of wholes, not of parts. And this they would call a holarchy. You have a holarchy and not a hierarchy of parts, or a whole with more parts, and then those parts become wholes, and you have further parts, and then they become wholes. But actually, at every point you have the whole. It's difficult for the human consciousness, the human mind, to grasp that, but we're working on it, aren't we? We're working on it with the help of our beautiful system, and I think as we go on through the sixth synonymous term, we will become clearer about it.
How is it that if you take any part of a holograph, you have the whole thing?
Yes, that's holography, yes. Also, what's that other? They see it in this Curlian photography, too, I think, that even when say you take a flower and pull off one of the petals and take a picture of it with this very specific photography, that when you develop the picture, the missing petal is there. It is there. It's a bit in the background. And they say it's because of the holistic nature of everything, that it maintains the field. It maintains a field of that which expressed the whole of itself. That field is still there and expressing itself in some way, and the camera picks that up. It picks up the whole of the object. So it's just a symbol, really, for the fact that the whole is always there. It's always there, because this is the nature of being, to be whole, to be complete, to have its complete integrity ever with it. And you see that there is a standard, there's a divine standard in being. There's something built into being that takes care of that assures that the holism is never lost. The whole is never falling below the standard of truth.